Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel, and I hope that you're having a fabulous summer. Let's get to our first summer DIY. Okay, I start out with these cotton balls and a bowl full of water and 1 drop of food coloring. You can add more if you want a stronger, richer color, but we're making cotton candy. I think that cotton candy reminds me of going to the fair and enjoying that family summertime. So we're going to make some cotton candy magnets. All you've got to do is throw your cotton balls in that water, let it soak it up, then squeeze it back out. And I just continue to do this so that I can make several magnets. Now, this is something easy you can do with the kids. You can choose different colors. You could have, a bunch of different ones across your fridge. But it creates that fun summertime souvenir without paying, $5 for a little souvenir that ends up getting lost. This will remind you all year round with it just being on your fridge. So you saw I just made a little cone shape and now I'm just twisting it up. And it's okay if it's too long. Now I'm just gluing it a bit and then I'll trim it down. I want to make sure, it's the right size. I also picked up some magnets off of Amazon. And I believe I did the 3mm ones. You could definitely do just a little bit bigger. I think next time I might go the 5mm. But I got like 200 of them or 300 of them. I can't remember which it had for $6. So I'll link that for you. But look, doesn't that look like cotton candy? And you're just going to kind of spin it around. You can throw 1 or 2 of them in there, depending what you want to hold up. This holds easily. I set one of the magnets just to kind of test it through a rather thick card. I did it on the inside, so it wasn't like, double the thickness, but it held it well. So it should hold a few sheets of paper. And you just twist it around and then kind of pull this back out a little bit so that you have a cute little cotton candy. As you can see, I just put another magnet to kind of hold it there and show you what it looked like. Now you could definitely make yours much fuller. I am so sorry, this is a portrait photo. Aren't those cute? Let's get to DIY 2. Now, what else goes with cotton candy? A snow cone. Yes, so what I did was I put my styrofoam ball in this food coloring. I end up deciding later that I'm going to trim it down. So I trim it down. And I think I even started out with a whole nother one, but I got impatient and I started trying to cut on this when it wasn't quite dry. But I wanted to kind of show you, I started to shape it and think about the shape, but it's all over my fingers. I had tried a marker before, as I've seen, coloring styrofoam balls with markers, but it just didn't get as good of an effect. So I made another cone shape and I'm going to write 2022. So again, I've got a good souvenir. It costs next to nothing. You get 6 of those styrofoam balls at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. This is just a piece of, for this one, I think I did use cardstock. I wanted a little bit sturdier. For the cotton candy, I just used a piece of paper. Thinner was just fine. So form your cone. And just a little bit of hot glue. You could definitely use a glue stick or any adhesive you prefer. Okay, now I'm showing you what I decided to go back, and this is the way it worked best. Showing you a couple of ways I tried, and you can do what works best for you. But this was just a little less than halfway, so I went around, and now I'm trimming this down to be kind of mushroom shape. So just continuing to take that down and moving it around so that it'll fit right inside my cone. So kind of like a real snow cone, you know, they pack it down in there and then they, you know, mold it around the top. So I thought that might just work well. And then what I did was I popped it back in there and I let it dry. You can also use your heat gun on it if you're careful. But it does, you know, it'll melt it just a tiny bit, but it really isn't noticeable. I let it dry a bit. As it was just about dry, I popped it in there to make it a little bit darker. But just position it the way you want. Add a little bit of hot glue. And I decided to show that if you have these magnets, this size will work just fine for the snow cone. You just put that on the back. But if you end up buying the smaller magnets, you could pop a couple in there. These are just fun, family-friendly crafts. You know, cardstock would be kind of cute on the bottom of your snow cone as well. How cute are those? And they're so easy. Just like that, it is done. It's marked with the year. You have a wonderful memento. And here's what it looks like on my fridge. I am so sorry. I took this as a portrait shot instead of, you know, a landscape. And here it is next to the cotton candy. And then here's a couple of cards that they're holding up. The first of every month, Brenda and Amanda and I all get together and decide on a theme and do some DIYs with some of our friends. And we have a playlist, so look for that below. The theme here is Summer Days DIYs. So that's why I did the first couple. And now the next few I'm going to go into is a couple of 4th of July themed DIYs. Those are some summer days also. And I thought, you know what? You might just want a couple more decor pieces real quick before Independence Day. So I took the scrap wood. This is actually from an old futon, the wood slats I found on the side of the road. So I put some painter's tape on and did that just about halfway. Now, after I painted that with white Waverly chalk paint, I lined my tape back up where that white stopped. And now I'm going to use my Ocean Waverly chalk paint. Such a pretty color. And I'm just doing the top of this, and I'll do this all the way around. If you watched my other Independence Day DIYs, you may have seen these in the background as I did a few of these at the same time. But I think that, you know, they have a old country kind of feel to them. I used a little bit of washi tape and lined that up with the edge. Now I'm just using a little piece to space that. And now I'll put another one. This will help give me my stripes. The painter's tape was just a little bit wider than I wanted for my stripes, so I went to washi tape. Now I'm using my Crimson Waverly chalk paint. Oh my goodness, this is such a nice, rich pigment. I want to take a moment to just thank you for joining me today and wanted to invite you to subscribe and, you know, be one of my friends and family members here. And hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying these. It lets me know what you like. But I also love reading the comments. Some of your comments are hilarious. Some are inspiring. I love to read them all and reply to them all. Okay, now I just took my sanding block and just took off a little bit on the edges and just gave it, again, a little bit of that old world. Like, these have been around. These aren't brand new. And these are just sanding blocks from the Dollar Tree. Okay, now I cut out these stars on my Cricut, but you could definitely use, a star stencil. You could use other stickers. In my other DIY, I used some of the silver star beads. That would work. You could also paint those star beads white. Your imagination's your only limitation. Okay, so I'm just using this cutting mat as a ruler because it was just sitting there at the side and handy. So why not? You could also use these, as a stencil if you wanted. With this white, it is kind of bold and it's not shiny, it's a flat white. But I go over it with my sanding block to just take off a little bit of the shine and help it settle down in with that paint and make it look more like these were just painted on. So I took a moment to line up my stars, and now I'm taking a little bit of jute twine, making sure it's twisted tight at the bottom. A little bit more. Often I'll just use that tip as a way to remelt the glue just a little bit. That helps. And this will be my fuse to my fireworks. And I like it unwound just a little bit. And I just measured so that all three have just about the same size wick. Super simple, just a cute little embellishment for your entry table, an end table, a shelf. Just gives and shows a little bit of that patriotism. And here they are, along with some that I had done in my last DIY. I'll link that right here. Let's get to DIY 4. I started out with these napkins as well as a palette. And my goodness, I did this DIY just about a month ago, I want to say. But I wanted to save it for this one because I feel that just feels like a big kickoff to summer. So is Memorial Day, but you could use these then for Memorial Day or Independence Day in the future. So you take off that extra layer of the napkin, and now you're just going to measure, which flag you want, how much you want. And so I just cut out the one square, and now I'll line it up. And I'm going to use dishwasher safe Mod Podge. The reason I'm going to use that is if my beverage sweats a little bit, it won't affect this coaster that I'm making. So it does need to cure for about 28 days. So if you're really wanting to do this and use this quickly and you are using it for a beverage, I would probably use a spray sealant as opposed to the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. And I'm just using my silicone scraper there to help press this down because, as you know, tissue paper is delicate, and that's going to be what our napkin is. And I'm just going to do small sections at a time. Now, these little palettes could be a coaster for all different things. You could use different types of napkins or tissue paper. Remember, I've shown you can print on tissue paper. So again, your imagination's your only limitation. Okay, just finishing lining this up. And one other thing that you could do if you didn't want that wood to show through, which I kind of liked, you could paint this white first. Now I'm giving it a good coat across the top. And once it's dried for just a little bit, I would come back with your X-Acto knife just a little bit. I didn't want this totally dry because I wanted, after I cut it, to kind of go in with that Mod Podge, and those edges that are cut, I kind of want to just tuck them right in those creases. And be careful with the X-Acto knife, of course. Okay, giving that one more good coat, and then I'm going to let it dry. I'm curious. I'd love for you to let me know down below, what is your favorite holiday? Do you love the fireworks and Independence Day? Are you someone who loves more fall holidays, maybe Halloween or Thanksgiving? Oh, just adding a little bit of that cork sheet I showed you in the beginning. It does have an adhesive, but I used the hot glue to just make sure it stayed on there securely. I think mine is Christmas just because of how many different times you get together with your friends and family and treats. Gotta love the Christmas treats. We all have some family favorites, right? And here it is. And I just threw some of my stars that I used on my fireworks on there. I had some bigger and some smaller ones. The bigger ones are going to be from this charger that I show you right here. DIY 5. So this is going to be the easiest one. And you could use removable vinyl or permanent vinyl or stickers. However you want to do this, you could use those star beads and just hot glue those on. But I just wanted to decorate the charger up just a little bit. So as you may have seen, I do this charger. So I did it kind of like a clock. I did top, bottom, and then, you know, like the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then I go in between those, and then I fill in from there. I think that just makes it the easiest to try and line those up evenly. And of course, I am not going to make you watch me place every one of these stars. That would just be a snooze fest. But I kind of wanted to show you how I end up, you know, kind of finding that spacing. So just like that, I go back and forth, and then I start to fill in between. And it's just as simple as just like playing with stickers as a kid. And here it is. I've got my napkin ring. I just used the additional part of that scarf that I had with some shower rings. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and here's a couple more videos you might enjoy. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on my picture and it'll do it for you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful summer. Don't forget to check out the playlist.